welcome, welcome. Here we are again with our next beautiful guest, Victoria. Welcome to the Body Love Revolution Online Summit. My guest today, Victoria, has worked in the early childhood education sector for over 10 years. The last two have seen her step into the spotlight and become well known in the family daycare sector. She has dedicated the last 10 years to running a family daycare service and enriching educators across Australia through her online course and her podcast. Her journey took a transformative turn when she embraced the world of fitness. Initially motivated by overcoming online trolling, Victoria discovered an awe-inspiring strength in herself at the gym. This revelation led her to complete a strongwoman competition known for her indomitable spirit. Victoria sees a challenge in every weight she lifts. Her trainer knows if she says something, it might be a bit too heavy. It's like waving a red flag at a bull. But the gym is her sanctuary where she can fully express her power and glory, embodying the spirit of body positivity and strength. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you, my gorgeous Emma. It is so wonderful to be here, and to every single one of you tuning in today. You are phenomenal.
And so are you, my darling.
Thank you.
I have loved our conversations in the past about your own body story and your own body journey, and particularly, like you say, strength and power, acknowledging that in your body, and the gym being your sanctuary. But I would love to know your story, how you arrived getting to know your own personal power and it coming off being trolled. So can you tell me about the trolling?
Yeah, it wasn't, I kind of was about my body, but it didn't impact me. Like, I didn't take it as a body thing, but it did open me up. So in 2020, when the world turned to custard, I started a Facebook group for supporting educators around Australia because the government was making changes multiple times a day. None of us knew what was happening. None of us knew what was going on. It was just a complete, can I swear? Because I'm a
Yeah.
sailor. It was a complete shit show. Like, it was terrible. So I started this page, and it quickly grew to over 5,000 people on this Facebook page. And of course, you're never going to please everybody all of the time. So, but what did hit me was there was a group of educators who decided they didn't like what I was saying. And two of the ringleaders were in my own team. So that was a really bitter and difficult pill to swallow, because I couldn't understand why they would be talking about me the way they were. My highest value is integrity. So everything I do comes from the lens of integrity, even standing up and admitting when I'm wrong and I get something wrong, which never happens, but I will do it if it does happen. No, I'm kidding. It does happen.
You're human.
Oh, I'm totally human, right? But it really shook me to my core, and I tried to approach it. This was probably it was the second most stressful time of my life. And I tried to approach it with transparency, honesty, integrity, authenticity, all those words and actions, and I followed it up. But sometimes people don't want to hear what's actually being said, or the filter or the lens that is between you and them filters things differently. And we as humans have this incredible innate ability to twist shit to fit our own narrative, right? So these women weren't listening to what I was saying. I then stopped having the Zoom meetings with them because we were all locked down, and tried to communicate via email and put things out. This continued and continued and continued and continued for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it all came to a head on my birthday, where I found myself in the dining room cleaning furiously, because my whole plan when I thought we were going into lockdown was, yay, I'm going to be stuck in my house. I'm going to declutter. That never happened. So I was furiously cleaning on my birthday this one day, like really going over this problem in my head. And I was like, I just want them to be accountable. Like, I'm going to call a lawyer. I'm going to, do them for defamation and, slander and all these things. And then this little voice, I've had these I call them God bolt moments. And this one was quiet. I've had big ones that are very like, oh, don't ignore that. This one was very, very subtle and quiet. And it said to me, you want them to be accountable? Where are you not being accountable?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. And I had to have a real hard look at myself. Like I really had to have and I knew straight away, I knew it was about my health. Like I was so stressed out and, like everyone's health suffered in that time. And I wasn't feeling good in myself. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't doing all these things. I wasn't drinking. I know a lot of people turn to drinking. I just, drank my chocolate. Pretty much that was my drinking chocolate. So, I was gaining quite a bit of weight and I was feeling acidic in my body. And so I knew straight away, like I wasn't being accountable to myself and to my health. And I made a deal with myself. I was like, righto, you can make them accountable, but after you are accountable to yourself first. And if that problem of these losers is still there and they're still meh, after you get to the gym and you meet some goals that you set for yourself and you do all that sort of stuff, if that's still happening, then you can take them and you can sue them and you will win. But if it's stopped by the time that you've got to this X point, you've won anyway, and you don't need to, follow on with that path anyway. So that saw me getting myself to the gym, and I go to EMF gym on the Gold Coast, in Nerang. At the time, I think it still is, but it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest gym in the Southern Hemisphere or something like that. It is like the duck's nuts, let's just say. It's got a swimming pool, like a lap pool. It's got cold and hot plunge pools. It's got steam and dry sauna. There's a recovery room. There's an altitude training room. There's a full MMA boxing ring. And then you go out on the floor, and the gym floor is huge. It's in an old, do you remember Masters? Like the old, like Bunnings? It's in an old Masters building. So it is massive. So, and of course, that being like one of the best gyms in Australia attracts a lot of gym bunnies, if you want to put it that way. Like it's hilarious because I still train there. I go 3 days a week, and when I train, I often will say to Cam, my PT, she's homeless again. Because I come out and I'm sweaty and I'm red and my hair is everywhere. And I just look like I've been through it because I go to work, and there's other people that walk out, their perfect hair and their perfect makeup. And, and I just go, yeah, it's not me. So it was really confronting to walk in there as an obese woman, who had never been to a proper gym in her life, but I had a serious mindset and a serious goal. So I trained for the first 4 months with my PT at the time, Brett, who I just cry every time I think of him because he's just such a wonderful man. I trained in the MMA boxing ring, and we did animal flow and a lot of body weight work, and we worked on my cardio. And we did that because I was too ashamed to go out on the floor. So we eventually, he worked with me and worked with me and worked with me, and we got out on that floor and I lifted weights for the first time. Holy fuck. I loved it. It like lit me up like nothing you've ever seen before. And I was strong, like get out of town strong. So I was immediately good at something. I was immediately having people that I never thought would talk to me because of the stories I had going on in my head. But it was really affirming and validating that actually, do you know what? I fit here just as much as anybody else.
Mm.
And a lot of the men would come and talk to me because they'd see me lifting and be like, get out, really? That's more than I'm lifting. And I was like, oh, is it? Like, far out. And my PT would just be behind me going, yeah. So he and I trained for 6 or 7 months, and I went into my first strong woman competition, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. So we did that, and it was just, yeah, it was like these layers of just, I don't know. I started to look at myself really differently, and I started to understand that I am completely different to everybody else. You're completely different to me. You and you and you and you. We're all so different, and we were never, ever, ever meant to fit into a cardboard cutout. It was just never, ever going to happen. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Victoria, so many things in that you just said. Wow, like that is such a phenomenal and beautiful story. Firstly, that although it seemed quite horrific to be trolled, and women pushing back and people in your own circle turning your back, and then that God bolt moment that you asked yourself a powerful question, you posed a powerful challenge to yourself,
Mm,
and then you accepted. And
mm,
had you landed in a gym, and like you said, you'd never been, to a gym before. And I did feel quite emotional when you said, your beautiful trainer, Brett, who you have so much respect for, you started in another room in the ring. And then because you're too ashamed to go into the weights room, but
mhm,
then you got there, and which has led you to a strong woman competition, and clearly well respected on that weight floor.
mm.
That is
Yeah,
phenomenal. I would love you to share, because I know today was a beautiful, sweet reminder. The one thing about Facebook is beautiful memories that come up. And
yeah,
you shared with me 1 year ago today, you wrote a beautiful post,
yeah,
a reflection, and like a little journal entry
yeah.
on Facebook with a beautiful picture of weights. Do you mind sharing what you wrote on Facebook 1 year ago today?
Sure, absolutely. I'll say I trained with Brett for about 18 months, and then we had a really big rain event, and half of our road, we live up in the mountains, half of the road washed away. And so our road got closed. So for me to keep going to the gym was going to be an extra hour and 15 minutes drive to go one way for an hour training session, to then drive back for another hour and 15 minutes. Like, so I just stopped going to the gym. I did train at my home gym up here, but I wasn't as consistent because I didn't have someone, riding me and pushing me. And I miss that connection, because I process when I'm in the gym too, as you'll see when I read this thing to you in a second. So I'd only just gone back to the gym, and I have another incredible trainer, Cam, who again has seen me bawl and break down, because that's what happens when you move emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so that's when you're doing stuff at the gym. And for me, it's when I'm lifting heavy weights and stuff, like everything has to go out of my mind. And yeah, so I'll share this. I'd only been back training because Brett had moved to New Zealand. I still mourn that loss.
He was
And I,
pivotal. Yeah. He
pardon?
was he was pivotal in
Oh,
your healing and your body story,
yeah, yeah.
body acceptance story.
He just gets me, and so does Cam. Cam's on a different, in a different way. Like, just he notices. He goes, "Oh, I like your nails," or "Look, you got new glasses," and I go, "Who are you?" Like, he's just such a lovely, lovely man, and he's a Christian, and he says to me, and I'm not a Christian, but it gets me every time, because he knows the story with my husband who had a workplace incident. And he just says to me every now and then, we'll have these really incredible conversations, and he'll just say to me, "Oh, I prayed for you and Brian last night." And it just, oh, I just burst into tears just about every time he does it, because it's so heartfelt. He gets nothing out of it. It's just this genuine, beautiful connection, and so easy on the eye.
That makes things easier too, doesn't it?
Oh, so much easier. Oh, he's gorgeous. He is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so today was brought to you by the color red and the realization that I seek approval and validation from others more than from myself. Oof, that I felt this morning. So as I finished the last conditioning set this morning, that was bloody hard, I might add. I noticed this story rolling around in my head. Oh, that was messy. You should be able to do that quicker. You should be able to lift more than that. And. So I stopped myself though, and I sat with how toxic these stories are. What you see in the first picture is 300 kilos. I repped that beast 4 times. My PB here is 350. I needed to remind myself that I have not trained in 9 months and I am week 3 back. Excuse me, shut the front door. What is it in me that instantly wants to steal my joy? Part of me wants to dissect this and go right into the how and the why. But then I realized that I'm not really interested anymore why this story exists, because it's old as fuck and no longer serves me, and I can just let it go. Who cares that my last few reps on the bench, at 70 kilos, I might add, Cam needed to help me a bit. I did the fucking work and I pushed myself even when I felt that first one at 70 kilos and I wanted to stop and drop the weight. I showed up for myself today and I will wear this on my chest as a badge of honor. I didn't quit. I didn't need anyone to tell me that I did a good job because I'm proud of myself. I'm sharing this here to ask you if you seek validation from others instead of yourself, and to encourage you to shut that whiny little voice up because it isn't doing you any favors. Now I can't remember how to stop sharing. There we go.
Oh, my love. What a powerful little diary entry on Facebook, and those visuals of that weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Massive. And this is the thing, right? How often do we put all the weight in the world on other people's opinions of ourselves? Like, at the end of the day, and I say this to my educators when I'm talking about boundaries and setting boundaries with families and things like that, are they going to be there when you're 70 or 80 and on your own, or perhaps needing help or being very, very vulnerable? Are those people going to be there for you then? No fucking way in the world are they going to be there for you.
No.
You are going to be with you right until the very end. And if you don't like yourself, that's a really awful trip you're setting yourself up for the
Mhm.
rest of your life. Who hangs out with people they don't like?
No one. And you said it's stealing your own joy in that post, that bit, stealing your own joy, not sitting in the actual celebration of what you had achieved. We can get in a habit where we straight away go to what we didn't do. And
Mm,
even that, when you said you had a little bit of help and you want to give up, even that itself, letting just have a little bit of help to keep going. But
mm-hmm.
there's some part of us that thinks there's defeat.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think for a long time, a lot of us have outsourced our well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you actually get in the driver's seat and you are lifting those weights, that is so empowering because you get to own that, because no one did that. You
Mm-hmm.
actually did that. Whereas I know from my own journey of, I'm a recovering yo-yo dieter, and how many times I've outsourced my movement. Tell me what I need to do when I need to do it. Tell me what I need to eat. There's no joy in that, and you can't fully value yourself because you gave your power away. Whereas
Yep.
what I see there is it's totally being in the driver's seat of your life and
Yep.
your experience and your body.
Yep. Yep. See, I seek help because I'm lifting heavy weights and I don't want to injure myself
Mm.
and, be crippled. So I have a coach that helps me with that. And, we talk about all sorts of things because that's the shit that comes up. Like all the other stuff clears for me. That's the place where I show up for me. I'm not going there for my team. I'm not going there for my parents, for my sibling, for my partner, for my children. I'm going there because I love it. And I have a community of people there now that I talk to, and it's amazing. And there are all shapes and sizes, all ages, all demographics, and we all get like taken down to the same common denominator. We're all there to better ourselves. We're all there to feel good about ourselves. And those people that are there to look, because chicks do look at me and I get the greasies, the ups and downs. And I just smile and go, good morning. What a beautiful day to have a beautiful day. And they'll quite often like, oh, because I'm not buying into that game and I can see it for exactly what it is. And you know what? I could probably pick you up and throw you. So I kind of, just whatever, baby. I'm so past that now. And I have this total, it's a work in progress. I still catch myself doing it, but I am in awe of my own strength and my body. Like I did a 12-week challenge at the gym, and part of that is you get a DEXA scan where they scan all your bone density and your muscles and blah, 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 blah. So mine came back with 65 kilos of muscle alone on my frame. That's not blood or organs, that's just muscle. So for my height at 163 centimeters puts me directly into the obese category just with my muscles alone. So I had to really come to terms with the fact that society is going to try and put me in a box that I'm never, ever, ever going to fit in, because this glorious, round, rotund body is so much more than that. Right. So my bone density, I'm a 44-year-old woman, but I've got the bone density of a 19-year-old. I just had all my blood tests done because I'm trying to go for insurance with my super, and they've knocked me back based on my my BMI. So I went and had all these blood tests done to say I'm not pre-diabetic. There is nothing wrong with me. I am literally the picture of health. So I've really had to start going, do you know what? Yeah, you probably haven't been very nice to your body in terms of haven't always put the good stuff in, but I've done a pretty darn good job because everything is hitting in the high end of perfect health.
That's
So
yeah, that's exactly where Victoria, the outdated, I mean, I believe we'll see a shift in this whole IBM business because it's just simply not true.
mm,
And you can have, we've seen and heard this before. You can have someone who's in a thin body who's unhealthy, who's in a large body who's unhealthy, thin body healthy, large body healthy. It's purely not that cut and dry and that simple at all.
mm-mm,
Tell me, when you feel strong in your body
mm-hmm.
and you are lifting these weights and achieving some pretty awesome numbers just for you, what's the knock-on effect of that in your life, in your business, in your relationships? When you're strong, what's the knock-on effect?
My husband's scared of me. No, I'm kidding. Maybe I'm not. No, he kind of rolls his eyes at me now and he's like, oh, and I go, well, come on. I mean, the knock-on effect of that is he asked me yesterday to go and pick up salt for the pool, 20-kilo bags. And the guy that was next to the salt was looking at it, he goes, oh, do you want me to get that? I was like, oh, it's cool, mate. So I pick up two of them. Boom. And he's just looking at me. I love that. I just think, yep, don't underestimate me, mate, because I'm fucking okay. I'm good here. And then other times I'd be, it's okay. Yeah, I can have help, and this is that softening that comes with not having, knowing that you don't have to do everything by yourself and on your own. So the knock-on effect of that is 100% when I come to sit down to challenges in my work, in my business, and I run two businesses. I'm managing upwards of 60 people in one of my businesses now, and I'm dealing with the government and, all of that stuff. I have this mental resilience now that I just go, person from the Department of Education, you're trying to do a number on me right now. I just leg pressed, because I'm up to 350 kilos. I just leg pressed 3.5 tons this morning. You're chicken shit to me. Like, this problem is just not even really a problem. There's a solution around this. What is it? And, I might to go away and think about it, and I come back and I go, right, okay, this is how we do it. And it's honing. Like, I hone the skill set which is my brain, because it's not that my body can't do it. It's that my brain comes in and goes, "Oh, you're getting a little bit tired." And I'm like, "Shut up." Like, it's two more. Stop being a sook. Like, just fucking do it. And I bring that into me because other areas of my life, I can't do that. I can't say to my educators, just fill the flippin' form in and suck it up. Like, I just can't do that. And I would never do that to another person, but I talk that way to myself at times because I need to kick my own ass. And we all need to kick our own asses. Like, we can make excuse after excuse and excuse our life away and not have enjoyment and not challenge ourselves and not climb these mountains and get to the top and be really fucking proud of ourselves with the work that we put in to get there if we don't kick our own asses, and ass kicking from yourself is so much more powerful than an ass kicking from someone else, because the shame comes when it's from someone else. When it's intrinsically coming from you, and you know where it's coming from, you know where you're pulling that anger from, and you're moving that energy and you're moving that emotion and you're shifting it out of your body, and you might, for me, I have dumbbells, and I'm punching them up into the sky, and it's just like, yeah, I'm throwing this stuff around like there's my problems, gone, be gone, be gone, like the knock-on effect is phenomenal. Aside from the fact that I can go and do stuff in the garden and I can pick up heavy shit and just move it like there's nothing. And I know, having the bone density of a 19-year-old, I've hit perimenopause. Women start losing their bone density. Even if I do lose bone density, I'm still going to be ahead. So I'm like looking at my future self and going, you're actually going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're not going to fall over and break a hip.
Mm.
So,
That's such a powerful body story.
mm,
I talk lots about, what's your body story? And yes, it's weaved with all kinds of different things that we've come. But if we come from that place and you're totally okay with challenging yourself, you know that you're moving. I love what you say, moving that energy and that emotion through your body. So it
mm,
sounds to me like you're what lifting of weights, yes, from a pure physical strength, it's great for your body, but it sounds like it's a lot of mindset stuff for you and that you take into your business. So it's a
massive.
strength of mind.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm very much in touch with the feminine and I work within my cycle. So that is a massive part of how I work. So when I bleed, I still go to the gym, but I do deep stretching. Like, we get the bands out and, we do all these fascial train stretching. And that's often when I'll have a release and a cry. And, these poor male PT trainers, because I don't hide anything, in case you haven't noticed. I have no filter. It's all out
Never a
there.
day.
It's all out there. So these guys now, both of them have said to me that they understand their partners more. They understand that whole process of what it's like to bleed and be in that space, because it's a very vulnerable space and it's very soft, and it's that whole thing of, I don't want to be out there and I don't have the strength because my body is inwardly focused and it is doing the work internally, because as women, we are vessels and vessels fill up. And then when that vessel is full, it's almost like we're taking bits of everything of the people around us that share with us for that whole month. And then for that few days when we bleed, I personally want to go into a cave. Like, don't ask me a stupid fucking question right now, because I'm not going to answer it and I'll likely rip your throat out, right? Says the feminine goddess, right? So, but that's the Kali in me. But we take these things on throughout the month, and then we have an opportunity to transmute that energy. And that happens when we go into that inward focus and we release. The week after that is where I do all my PBs. I do all of my big lifts. I'm like so full of energy because I'm renewed. It's like that springtime feeling, you open the curtains and you're letting all the air in and all the things are going out, and you've had a good clear out and you're ready to start again. So I do all my PBs in that week. So I've got 2 weeks where I'm stretching and really going inwards and connecting in with my cycle. Then I'm doing my PBs, and then the next 2 weeks it's all on conditioning and technique. It's
Mm.
all conditioning and technique, because I'm kind of, I'm still on the way up, and then I go back down again, and then I'm back up and I'm a bit flat, and then I go back down again. So I work with my cycles too. And I think that's a really important thing for women to fully appreciate and understand about themselves. And sometimes when I get my period, I'll just ring Cam and I'll go, sorry, bro, you're on your own. I'm not doing it today. I'm sleeping in or whatever. And he's like, all good, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Victoria, hearing you honor your body in that way, and you know yourself so well, and that's why you can pull a personal best, and that's why you can stick to that flow. That is exactly how we need to be treating ourselves. And that's when we have that, we beat up on ourselves with expectations that are just not in our capacity at that time of month. I mean, that's the old style
Yep.
of, training, or the old style is just push through and suck it up. But actually, no, you don't have to push through and suck up anything. You just train according to your body's cycle and rhythm.
Yep.
That is tremendous.
Yeah,
That
because if
is,
I tried to do heavy lifting when I had my period in perimenopause, it's a heavy period, so it wouldn't be pleasant for anybody. I would likely flood, and I don't want to do that. Again, that to me says that that's pushing your body past its limits. And for me, I get far better and I feel better in my body when once a month, for that week in that month, I stretch, like I really unwind my body, and I undo all those fascial trains, and I move in a way that I haven't moved for that whole month. And I tune in and I check everything out, and it's just this beautiful unwinding that happens. And Brett and I used to really get into it, and he'd do it with me. He'd do the full with me, because I have a lot of hypermobility too. So where people go, oh, I get into this position, you should feel this stretch here. I'm like, nah, I don't feel that there. I feel that on the down the other side of my leg, on my opposite leg, and the people are like, what? Yep, yep, not feeling it there. So I would have to modify all these stretches, and then Brett would do it too, and he'd be like, holy shit, girl, like, wow, oh my goodness. And he'd have all these massive fascial train releases as well, and it was phenomenal. It was fantastic. And he'd be like, I feel 5 centimeters taller. And I'm like, I know, bro, it's so good. But I didn't push. I went into that flow state, and it was beautiful. And I really, they're some of my favorite sessions, because that's where I get a lot of messages and a lot of information, and a lot of like, really in tune with my body, and what's happening in it and what it needs more than anything. So yeah.
that is, yeah, that is the way I like to think. That's the new way of training and
Mm.
honoring ourselves. But we have to do the work ourselves. We have to get to know our own body. That's where we've got to take that little bit of time to actually tune in, and like you call it, your God bolt moments.
Mhm.
Everyone has that in a different way. And like you say, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, but we have to quieten down enough to
Mhm.
hear that, to know what we need to do next. That's the other part of tuning into our body and
Mhm.
listening, and not going against it
Yeah.
because we're sticking to a program. Again, we've outsourced it. We're sticking to something that someone else has told us. We actually know what we know.
Mm.
We actually have our own answers. And
Mhm.
yes, it's wonderful to have guidance, and it's wonderful to have a trainer. Like you're saying, when you're lifting heavy weights, it's wonderful to have someone to spot you, because it can be dangerous. And if you're that kind of person that needs a person, a person to train with you or whatever, that is a wonderful thing, because that's equally as joyful. But ultimately, what I hear you saying is our work is to get to know ourselves.
Yep. Yep, massively, massively. See, I didn't really start. I had children. I met my partner, and then 3 weeks later, we were pregnant.
Mm.
Whoops. That was after another God bolt moment.
Surprise.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been surprised, but I still was because 2020 I was 21 and I had my first baby. So, and then 23 when I had my third. So my entire life was devoted to my children. And then when I started going to the gym, Yo would have been year 11, so she would have been 16 maybe.
Yeah.
So old enough to manage themselves, and I had that time. I could get up in the morning at 5:30 and drive down to the gym and do an hour there and then go into the recovery pools and the sauna and all that sort of stuff. And, just felt like I was treating myself like it was like I was so lucky to be able to do it. But I've changed that story now to being, I fucking deserve to do it. Like, I've worked my butt off to be able to have flexibility in my life so that I can say, you know what? Fridays are going to kind of be my unofficial day off, and I'm going to go to the gym at 10:30. So I get up whenever I get up in the morning and I work until 10, and then I go to the gym and I do whatever the hell I want for the rest of the day. So, and I've come to that point where I don't want to bury myself in work anymore. I really want to open up and just really enjoy it. But so interestingly, that first step in the morning is about my body and connecting to my body and treating my body beautifully. So I've got rid of coffee. I don't drink coffee anymore. And I have a cacao in the morning now, and I make a beautiful cacao and I sit out in the sun and I look at what's happening around me. I watch the animals and the insects and the birds and all these things. And I just really ground myself. And I have those minutes of quiet in the morning if I'm not doing 21 minutes of morning magic. And if you haven't heard about that, you need to jump onto it because it's fabulous. But on the other mornings, or if I finish that, then I'll go and have my cacao and I'll sit outside for a while. But it's that morning, those moments of peacefulness and watching the world wake up too. It's a really special time, but I get to then set intentions for my day. I get to, if something's been worrying me overnight, I then sit there and I have moments of introspection and reflection on those things. And I'm really consciously aware of just not getting up and starting my day, just not rolling out of bed and getting straight into it. Because I work from home. I used to make a coffee in the kitchen, walk in this door, sit down, start working. Like it's not okay. And we're here for such a short time.
Yeah.
Do I really want to be stuck inside my office? Although I've got a beautiful view from here and all the rest of it, it's not the same as being out there.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
and you use the language I deserve it. I often say I'm worth it.
sorry, I fucking deserve it.
Yes, you did. I fucking deserve it. Whereas I'll always say I'm worth it.
Yeah.
I'm worth. I am worthy of sitting down and have a cup and not walking into my office. I'm worthy of putting attention on my body, and because no one else is going to do that for you, you're it. You're
Mm-hmm.
it, and it's okay. And what I hear you saying is it really is taking that time, whether it be going to the gym and lifting your weights or sitting outside, then it becomes the gift that keeps on giving all day
Yep.
because you had that little downtime. And that's where our answers, I talk a lot about, our voice of judgment and our voice of wisdom. We've got to consciously step into our voice of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
where we get our God bolt moments. We've got to create that little bit of space
Yes.
in our day to get the download, to
Yes.
hear the answer or feel the answer.
Yep. And I'm not going to sit here and say to all of you that are watching at home that, I've got it down pat. I've got it, I found myself in adrenal fatigue last year, at the end of last year, and I'm still recovering from it. There's things going on in my body. My melatonin levels are sitting at a level 2 and they should be a level 15. Now, I know I said I'm the picture of health, and I am the picture of health on all of the things that the doctors test for. There is something else going on that I'm in the process of discovery around. So I knew things weren't so great, but I didn't really listen to that. And I just kept trying to push through. So part of that is because I felt a tremendous amount of responsibility. We have to realize that these problems are at the same time not going to go away unless we deal with them, but they're also not as big as what we make them out to be.
Yeah.
Like they really aren't. And we owe it to ourselves to find those moments in the day that are about peacefulness, that are not clouded by, I've got to do this next. Oh, I've got to get that done. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't have that done. And that's what we as women do. We go to bed and we start making the lists. Oh, shit, I didn't make that phone call. Oh, bloody hell, so and so's got such and such on for school tomorrow. Oh, no, I didn't put the washing in the dryer. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Like it all starts, that shit's going to be there tomorrow. Like, don't you deserve a really good night's sleep? Don't
Yeah.
you deserve to wake up feeling refreshed? Don't you deserve to start your day in a beautiful space, like enjoying where you choose to live? And if
Mm.
you don't enjoy where you choose to live, take yourself somewhere where you do enjoy being there and enjoy that before you go and give your life to your work or to your business or to your children or whatever you give yourself away to.
Yeah.
Like we've really got to address that and look at
Well,
it.
yeah, well, the thing is, Victoria, we cannot feed others if our garden is barren. So it's
Mhm.
tending to your own garden, like those little things where you nourish yourself first, whether it be movement. There's kind of three components I always think. There's the physical, the mental, and the spiritual.
Mhm.
So filling your, tending to your own garden, so then you have got surplus to give others. Because, like you say, I mean, we end up with all sorts of issues in our body, and it can potentially be the adrenal fatigue. And I know that you've had circumstances, emotional and some traumatic events that have definitely contributed to that. But then it's
Massive.
going, hang on, I need to still tend to the garden and do my best.
Yeah. Well, the support network that I had in place for myself, from myself, was never, ever, ever in any way, shape, or form ever going to be enough to overcome the disaster that happened in my family. Like it just was never, ever gonna. And like I've never been in that position before. And I didn't know. I did not know. So, there's a lot of stuff to unpack in that. And I don't have the skill set to unpack that myself. So, you and I have talked. I've got sessions with a psychologist coming up. It's a long road to get into psychology at the moment. There's massive waiting lists, but I've taken the steps to start addressing that adrenal fatigue. And a doctor is not going to ever tell you you've got adrenal fatigue because they don't believe it. I can tell you right now, from getting onto the supplements that I've got onto after seeing my naturopath, the difference I feel in my life is chalk and cheese. So I don't care if a doctor will agree with it or not. 100%, I feel like I've done a full 180 from, like I said to my PT the other day, yes, on Wednesday, I said to him, because I'm like skipping in between sets now, between different machines and different weights and whatnot that we're doing. Like I'm like raring to go. And I got back to a machine and he goes, no, 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 you need to have another, you got more of a break. And I was like, I was ready to go. And he was just looking at me and I was like, I know, I'm like a different person here now. Like I've actually got energy to burn now. I've got energy to spare. I feel like almost the last 12 months, I showed up every day and I trained as hard as I could, but I feel like it was almost wasted because it would deplete me so much to go and do that. So, but I didn't know at the time because that decline happened so quickly and it was so slowly, sorry, and it was so subtle.
Yeah, it's like,
So,
what did you say? You told me the analogy, the frog in the boiling water. You
yeah.
don't, you don't realize. Yeah.
No, not at all. I didn't like, I knew I was tired. I knew that I was like, oh, this is a brain drain, and I just thought, oh, because last year was very stressful. I just thought that my head, my brain and my thinking center was just tired. That's what I thought it was, but it wasn't, and it was more than that. It was way more than that. And now I just feel like so
Yay.
so much life force in me now.
So again, there's also the message is getting to know yourself and then seeking help And maybe from all different, because we do know our body, but maybe it's not one size fits all. It
Mm-mm.
is the mental, emotional, spiritual,
Mhm.
and seeking someone that get you support. And that is so wonderful to hear your energies back. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, my words for this year are purposefully strategic. And so, I had to, if I wanted to be able to pour into a team, I managed, 70 odd people.
mm,
That's a huge mental load, and it's meeting governmental requirements. Got to be on the ball. Like, I
yeah,
can't not. And part of that adrenal fatigue came from changes that happened in the last few months with the Department of Education. And it's exhausting and fighting against the department. Like, if I want to be able to do it and I want to do it well and I want to get the outcomes I want, I've got to be 100% present, and I've got to have all the resources I possibly can in my arsenal,
yeah,
because otherwise I just get swallowed up.
yeah,
And, you know, I'm a force for good and I'm a force for the light. And there's not a great deal of light happening in the Department of Education or any government body right now. And they need people like me to be able to stand up and go, hang on a second, no fucking way, not on my watch, no way. And I am a bringer of change. I am a bringer of change, and that's what I know part of my job and role here is. So, in order to do that, I've got to have this uh, you know, body of energy behind me. My internal fortitude needs to be limitless. So
yeah.
I've got to maintain that as much as I can so that I can pull those resources when I need to.
And it sounds like you know that what you need to do. Yeah. And as long as, like we always say, I always love to say, like, we've heard of the 80-20 rule. As long as 80% of the time
Yeah,
you're able to do that, then you have got, like you say, to have that fortitude and to be the bringer of good.
yeah,
That's the taking care of you.
yeah,
And then you're able to be that advocate for your team and your
yeah,
people.
100%. Because I kind of look at it like my connection to source. The thicker my rope is, the thicker that connection is, the easier it is to feed backwards and forwards. When it's a tender, tiny little rope, I am choking it,
Yeah.
choking it. And it's so much easier not to choke it, but you get in your own head. You forget that you've got this connection that's available to you at any time you need it, and you and that's what happened to me. So yeah.
So, my love, I do want to finish with one last question because I've loved your whole way that you do life, and particularly around your weightlifting and your body that is so strong. What are you most proud of in your body?
It would be the fact that it can pretty much do anything I want it to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole the strength. Like, I just love that I'm so strong. I love it. I love that I am so strong, and and that I'll be pushing weights, and the dudes will be like, "What the fuck?" And I'll go, "Yep, come and line up. You want to have a go?" No. Like, I love that. I just genuinely love it. Don't ask me to ever fucking run, because that's never going to happen. But I will lift your house up for you if you need.
I love that. That is such a beautiful thing to own. I love that you love that and can own that. Because again, back to being a woman and all the different body stories that we have over our lifetime, it
Mm,
is wonderful to arrive at an age and stage in life and you have appreciation for this beautiful body.
mm,
And
yeah.
it doesn't have to be, like you said, it's not a cardboard cutout. Everyone comes in different shapes, sizes. It is not a reflection if you are healthy, if you're in a bigger body, unhealthy. Like, it's simply not true. And this is part of this whole body love revolution online summit, is to bring all different voices to this topic and
Mm,
all different examples of paths and journeys in life, and having people in a place. And I've been saying, to go from self-loathing to self-love can be a massive step, but if we can get to self-respect, and I believe that's where you are, my friend. I
yeah,
believe you're at self-respect,
yeah.
and sometimes that whole body love can be a giant leap. And I hope and pray one day, I want that for everyone. but I know it's massive. And I know that if just we can get to self-respect,
Yeah.
that's where great choices come from,
Yeah.
and really great well-being comes from. And like you speak of that strength, that inner strength,
Yeah.
that's what I want for everyone. If it can't be self-love, can we just get to self-respect?
Yes. Oh, I totally agree. And, you know, it's such a pat on the back to get to self-respect
Mm.
in today's age. You're like, you know, there's just so many distractions and so many things pulling us one way or another. So many things that we should be doing, we could be doing, we should look like, we could look like, blah, 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 blah. You know, I've got a flat ass, I've got straight up and down hips, I've got enormous boobs, I've got the most electrifying smile. I've got these incredible eyebrows that just send expression everywhere. And I've got a kick-ass personality. You know, like I don't care about the other stuff anymore. I really don't. I go about the world doing things that I enjoy, being around people I enjoy being around, and I just don't have time for the other bullshit anymore. You know, I get to help women empower themselves in business every single day
Yeah.
around Australia. And, you know, people message me and tell me that, oh my God, it's like you were in my head. That whole podcast was something that I so needed to listen to today. And it wasn't even anything about my business, you know, and I just go, fuck, what an incredible position of um, you know, I can't even think of the word I'm in.
It's a privilege.
Yeah,
It's an
privilege.
absolute privilege.
Yes, that was the exact word. It's a position of privilege to be in, to be this open channel. And if I'm not authentic and in integrity, I'm not living to my highest values. And that is my highest value is integrity. So, you know, I don't get it right all the time. And there are days where I go, oh my God, I just want to eat chocolate, you know, and I'll stick my head in a bucket of ice cream, 100%, 100%. But then there's other days where I'm making my cacao and I'm saying a heart prayer when I'm doing it. And I'm sitting outside and I'm noticing all of nature. And I'm like, wow, I'm so blessed to live where I live. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. You know, and I get to empower women in business all day long, and I get to fight with the government, and I love it. You know, so it's such a place of privilege to be. But you, wherever you are in your life, is a place of privilege too. And if you can get to that place and really start looking at all those things in your life that you are grateful for and acknowledging the stuff that you're not too,
Mm.
I don't believe in toxic positivity either.
Yeah.
But I feel there's a lesson in everything that happens to us, like being mercilessly blah, 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 trolled, you know, where people in your own circle are saying really awful things and trying to get people to gang up against you,
Mm.
to turn that, which could have sent me asunder, to turn that into a lifelong passion that I have now. Well,
Yeah.
who's having the last laugh? Fuck you, bitches. That's all I can say.
You totally took that God bolt and you took the challenge. Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, my darling Victoria. It has been, as always, an absolute pleasure to chat. And I love your body story. And I love how you have taken any adversity and turned it into light, taken the
Yeah.
dark into light. And like you say, you don't get it perfect 100% of the time, but most days you do.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, your values, authenticity, integrity, people feel that. And that's why you are, honey to bees, bees to honey. And
Mm.
that's what you are for your community and your beautiful podcast. It's fabulous. So all of your details will be in our show notes. So anyone who wants to look you up and follow you and listen to your gorgeous podcast, even if they're not in family daycare, because every now and again you do a podcast, just life according to Victoria. That's what I say. It's a life according to Emma. Yeah, so it's always uplifting. But thank you, my love. I've really appreciated your body story and your ethos around lifting weights and moving emotion through the body. It's been wonderful. Thank you, dear friend.
Thank you, my gorgeous Emma. And thank you for putting this on. Like, what an incredible gift to the entire world for women that get to check in and just hear other women's stories and see themselves in those too. Like, it takes a lot of courage to do something like this. So thank you so much, Emma. It's just been a privilege and a pleasure to be on the Body Love Summit with you.
Thank you, my love.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.